Hi, my name is Lindsay Dunagan, and welcome to my book talk. I hope that the books that I introduce to y'all inspire you to love reading as much as I do. So let's go ahead and delve into these books, and I'll answer any questions via email. The first book that I would love to introduce you to is called Fever, 1793 by Laurie Halse Anderson. She is a very well-known author and has written the books Speak and the popular series Chains. This book is considered a historical fiction and takes place in Philadelphia in 1793 and follows the young Maddie Cook, who is about 14 or 15 years old. Maddie Cook lives with her widowed mother and her grandfather, and together the three of them run a successful coffee house. That is until the yellow fever pops up in Philadelphia, and so the epidemic begins. Maddie Cook's life is thrown upside down as she has to navigate this new world and this disease. And I think this is a really great book as it parallels the COVID pandemic that we all endured in 2020. So this book will really resonate with young readers that went through the COVID 2020 pandemic. And it's just an overall really great book, as there's a little bit of mystery, heartbreak, loss. In the book, Maddie and her grandfather try to flee to the countryside to escape the pandemic. However, the people transporting them to the countryside decide to leave them at the end of town because her grandfather started up with a cough. And it turned out that he wasn't sick, he just had a heart condition that caused him to cough. But they were so paranoid about getting sick that they decided to leave them behind. And so Maddie has to figure out a way to get her and her grandfather back to their coffee house while taking care of him and while he's ill. Maddie herself becomes sick with yellow fever, but thankfully recovers. When she gets back to the coffee house, she discovers that her mother is missing. And so she has to work and run the coffee house on her own until she can find out what exactly happened to her mother. What's really great about this book is at the end of the book, it provides an appendix and gives further details about some of the characters that were inspired by real people that helped during the yellow fever epidemic of 1793 in Philadelphia, as well as how we deal with this disease today. If historical fiction isn't your cup of tea, I also recommend Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. This is a popular book series, and there's 7 books in the series in total. So I highly recommend going back and reading the first 5 before you read the 6th book. In this book, Harry Potter returns for his 6th year at Hogwarts, and the war with Voldemort is still going. However, he still has to go to school and get his education. And I think this is also a really great book for young adults and younger audiences, as they can relate to Harry Potter and his struggles in school, his triumphs, his first crushes, his first loves, as well as just figuring out who he is and where his place in society is. This book is a winner of multiple awards, mainly the New York Times bestseller and the ALA Best Book for Young Adults. What I really love about this series is that there are movies. So what's really fun to do is to read the books and then watch the movies, which I highly encourage you to do, because many of the books and movies go along really well together. I think the 6th movie is my favorite. However, if you're not a fan of traditional fantasy, I would recommend Bone Gap by Laura Ruby. This is more of a realistic fantasy, as it takes place in a small town where everyone knows everybody. And I think living in Oklahoma, you might feel that way at times, where, you're living in a place where you feel like you know every single person and their business. And that's how it feels for Finn and his brother Sean. They live in a small town in Illinois called Bone Gap, and not everything is as it seems, as I said. A young beautiful girl named Rosa shows up in the cornfields near their house, and they decide to take care of her. However, she's not in Bone Gap long before she disappears, and it's up to Finn to figure out what went wrong and what happened. However, he faces a lot of struggles and conflict because he doesn't feel like everyone else. And the reason he doesn't feel like everyone else is he can't recognize faces the way that we recognize faces. And so there's a lot of blame amongst himself and his brother for the disappearance of Rosa and why he can't describe who took her. So as the story progresses, we see a lot of character growth and development, which I think is really cool. And young adults would really love this because it shows that no matter how old you are, you can still grow into who you want to become. And I think that's a really interesting theme in this book, and I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via email, and I will try and answer you back as soon as possible. Thank you.